Hey guys, welcome back to Etheria Restart. In today's video, we've got Sean B joining us to talk about a few things. I want to talk about RTA, Dupes and RTA, have a little discussion about that. And then I want to talk about some characters, not so much that we want buffed or nerfed, but I've been seeing as people say, this character's too powerful and stuff like that, and just have some inputs on, buffing, nerfing, coming into the global launch to see what changes we think may actually occur in the game. And I'm standing here on Marvel because I think he's one a lot of people have spoken about. But Sean B, give us a little intro to yourself. You've got a new channel, which will be linked in the description. Make sure you go show this man some love. Give us an introduction on how you got into Etheria and just yourself in general, man.
Hi guys, I got into Etheria because they sponsor me, so that's pretty out of the way right there. But after they sponsor me, I'm like, oh wow, this is exactly what I've been looking for the past many years. So I play Summoners World for the past 11 years. I know, tragic. So I've been looking for something that is competitive, turn-based, and for the past many years, there hasn't been something that quite fit the bill. And Etheria Restart is actually the one that I'm super excited for, to a point where I made a new channel that's going to be linked in the description down below, that I'm going to go just ham in this game because it feels so much fun right now.
100%, yeah. And now, how are you going to play the game? Are you going to whale, or are you going to free to play? Are you going to moderate spend? What's your game plan?
I think with the stamina cap, there's definitely going to be a lot of downtime when you finish that. So probably going to be a whale account and a free-to-play account for sure.
Do both? Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. And the first thing I want to talk about is obviously the RTA. Now, all assumptions that people had, all that stuff aside, a lot of people thought RTA dupes weren't going to be active. Devs never said it. It is active. They made the statement saying basically we're going to leave it. We're going to give you more ways to get dupes. What is your general thought on... And I think there's two things to look at here. The way you personally feel about it and it personally impacts you, and what you think they should do based on a, overall health of the game type thing. So do the two topics. You personally, how do you feel about it? And then what do you think they should do?
I think personally, I play one of the most pay-to-win game that exists on the mobile market. So this is another pay-to-win mechanic that didn't really shock me that much. And when I look at the dupes, before everything got blown out of proportion, the dupes never really boost you that much anymore. People think that, a bit more stat, a bit more damage is mind-blowing. But it's not really that crazy, And in the long run, either you never really fight whales because the whales will rise up in rank into a point where they fight one another. So to them, dupe is meaningless because everyone in their rank has dupe anyway, so it doesn't really matter. It's just that the whale who kind of suck at the game, but so they can't really rise in rank, so you're gonna fight them, and you might feel like you lose because you don't have dupe, but probably not really. You lost because your draft was bad, your runes was bad, all the combination of factors. So I think a pay-to-win mechanic in a game like this, where they have limited so many other ways to spend money, is probably needed for them to make money. Crazy, right? Oh, my billion-dollar corporation to be protected. But if they don't make money somehow, then you have no game to play, which kind of sucks. And a lot of whales have complained to me that they came to the game and they are shocked at how little advantage they have in the game, funny enough. And when they look at the dupes, it's like, oh, wow, it's not even a whole lot. And everyone's going to have that anyway at some point. So it feels... Of course, there's another factor where people feel cheated by, people feel lied to, because when you search about RTA dupe in the Discord server, a lot of people, including the mods, have confirmed that, even including the wiki, have confirmed that, they never work in RTA, but apparently they do. So I think it is justified that people feel very angry. But when you look at the big picture, then the dupes don't really do that much, I think.
Yeah. I'm sort of in this funny one because I obviously play every game free to play. And when I saw the dupes, the big thing that got me was I don't need to pull a second dupe to get the character's functionality. The rest past that, it's I'm not too stressed. I saw the RTA thing. I'm oh, that's cool. That's good for marketing and stuff to get more people into the game. Besides that, I didn't really stress too much about it. Because for me, I know I'm not the best player. I just do my best and have fun. And if those dupes make it so that I am now fighting for a diamond tier instead of dude, I can't even, a master tier. I don't even know. But if I'm fighting for one tier lower and that becomes the new benchmark of, oh, this is pretty good for free to play if you can get here, like that's good enough for me. Like I'm always just going to push. I'm not going to be rank 1. I personally don't care. However, and the other thing is, maybe I'll make a whole video about this, but I think people are a bit like both whales and free to play are getting a wrong interpretation of what free to play will be able to achieve. I've seen people throw me around saying like, oh, he was like rank 1 for a bit. Like I think I finished rank 4 in normal arena and rank 14 in RTA. And in RTA, I only had 2 DPS. I only had Victor and Tiamat. I didn't pull any other SSR DPS in the game besides Leon. And so I think what people are missing is that's because we only played for like a week and a half, and I made every decision that I would not make at Global as a free-to-play player. I spent all of my real-time arena points on silver so that I could upgrade gear. You ain't fucking doing that at a global launch on a free-to-play account. You're not max refilling free-to-play arena tickets. Like, there's a lot of things that I think it is looking almost too much like free-to-play are going to compete with whales. But you got to remember, you get so many summons at the start of the game as well. And then once those are gone, free-to-play is screwed as a new character, especially a new light dark character comes out. They ain't going to have that shit. Like, it's going to be too, like, some will get lucky, get the RNG, manage resources. But like, as it goes on, I think it's going to become a lot harder. You got the fact of max refilling and stuff like that. So I think the problem is that we haven't seen how pay to win the game is because we didn't get to that point yet. And you've been able to cheat as free to play essentially in the beta. But what I think would be a good decision for them to do would to be one of two things. One, disable dupes in RTA, because eventually because that will keep a lot more players happy and it'll be good publicity for them. And eventually the whales will realize, oh wait, we still stomp on them anyway, like after 2-3 months, you know what I mean? Like that's when the benefit starts kicking in. So it's good press for them to make it look like, and I'm just going to change my battery here while I talk. So if I miss you, I miss you. But yeah, so it's like good publicity because it gets a lot of people in going, oh, they're doing the real free to play thing. And then the whales like may feel a bit bad at the start, but eventually they're going to go, oh wait, we still get to stomp you anyway. So then it kind of balances out and you get the best of both worlds. Now, obviously that might cut early income if they do that because the whales might feel cheated and stuff like that, which I completely get because there's two sides to every story. But I think a really good solution would be to have an on and off season where it's like, okay, one season, dupes matter. Next season, they don't. Then one of two things is going to happen, and probably both these things are going to happen spread across different players. One, whales will realize that they were getting carried by their dupes. Two, free-to-play will realize, no, they just suck and they were never going to get there. So I think that would happen. Both of those things would happen for different players. And I think it would just be a really interesting thing to have on and off seasons. So then you could actually even just like gauge the impact that those dupes are making. I think that would be the best solution for me personally. At the moment, they're just going to leave them active, give us more way to get dupes. So we'll have to wait and see. The one thing is I do love that they are giving us more way to get dupes because it also improves the PvE performance of your account, which is another cool thing to get you some more rewards in PvE as well. So that's my general thoughts around it. Do you have anything else you want to add to the topic?
So in terms of fighting an environment where there's light dark character and RGB unit, what Summoners War has been doing is it is so much better if you draft the opposite of color of the enemy. And in this game, in Etheria Restart, I feel like the elemental advantage and disadvantage is not that big. You get minus crit rate, you get minus effect accuracy. But in Summoners War, if you are the opposite element, you can just miss the hit entirely. And you apply no debuff, you apply no turn meter effect, whatever. So we've come to a point in Summoners War that even though even in the middle rank, like you get out of like noob rank, everybody has like multiple LD5, the good ones. But the meta is so heavily focused on the RGB character because when you draft the opposite color, it is so much better because you don't miss your attack and whatever. If you draft a bunch of light dark character, you are just vulnerable to either getting hit with all the debuff so much easier or getting hit with a full one element draft. So I can draft full water against a light dark team, and you can never do that if they are drafting just one win unit, one yellow unit, and you're fucked because you cannot beat that unit with a full water team, for example. So it forced the game to be so heavily focused on RGB unit that light dark unit feels like shit. It's actually weird because it is supposed to be really, really good, but it feels like shit to draft too many of them. You have to draft them very strategically in the last slot to give you the best advantage instead of just spamming them. Like you would think Whale would be like, oh, I'm gonna have a full light dog team, full dupes, and fuck everybody. But it doesn't really work out that way. If you do that, you get absolutely stomped by the good RGB character that synergize very well one another and have good strategies. So that's another thing that I think they can make the elements more how do I say it? Make the elements interaction a bit better.
Yeah. The one thing, a little bit off topic, who's like the big LD unit? Because back when I played, which was like 8 years ago, it was like everyone wanted Zaratu or Ragdoll. Like who's the one?
I mean, they're still the good ones, and there's so many more that you cannot really count, or you cannot really like list them out in like a top 10 because there's so many of them that are really, really good. But if you pick them all together, you get shit on immediately.
Yeah, dude, Summoners War is this game that stopped me spending in games. I spent so much money, got nothing, started a free to play account, got what was it, Tiana and Zyros on a free to play account.
Pretty good, by the way.
Yeah, like and then just chuck in the Galleon. Anyway, I'm not gonna get stuck on that. So yeah, that's I think the RTA. I'm just curious to see what happens. For me, at the end of the day, people always talk about, is it free to play friendly? Is it free to play? Every gacha game is going to be pay to win, no matter what you do. Like stamina refills, extra gear, extra access to characters. It's always going to be pay to win. I just look at it, can I have fun free to play? And I think the big thing with the duping system that makes it free to play, once again, it depends on your interpretation of what that is. For me, the duping system is free to play because I don't need to get dupes to be able to play a character the way they're meant to be played. Yes, I may lose due to stats, but my enjoyment comes from being able to play the characters and strategize. And if I lose on stats, oh well, I can still feel good that I had a good strategy. You know what I mean? So that's the general there. Have you got anything else you want to touch on for that?
Dude, another thing is I never realized how good 50-50 how bad 50-50 is. I watched Mr. Pokey yesterday doing Honkai Star Rail pool for the new update or whatever. He lost 8 in a row. 8 times in a row. I'm like, what are you talking about? How can you spend almost 1,000 pool and miss 8 times? Nah. No 50-50 in my ER. Amazing. Incredible.
Yeah, bugger 50-50s, man. Unless in this game you pull a double in a 10 pull and then you feel robbed and you would rather got the second one off banner. But hey, maybe now you're okay because dupes matter. Anyway, let's go through. I think we're like 10 minutes in and we haven't even got onto the topic that I said we would talk about, which is buffs and nerfs in the game. Now, they have said that they are willing to buff and nerf characters even post-release. So not too sure if they will. I think normally with these games, you would rather get everything sorted before a character is released so that, especially with nerfs, you don't want to be releasing a character, people pay for that character, and then nerfing them later on. I think that's always a bit of a gray area. I know summoners will do that, don't they?
Oh, they do that all the fucking time.
Yeah, because I still remember.
It feels weird.
When I played Summoners War, I used to always love balance patches because it was like the most exciting thing. It's like, is any character like one of my Nat 5s in there? It's like, oh, they got nerfed? What the fuck? No, but like I feel like it's like one of the most exciting things seeing who gets buffed to see if you've got like a new toy in your roster that you can actually play with. But nerfs definitely don't feel great. So obviously they want to get it sorted before it comes. We're in beta. They did a few nerfs since last beta. The big one for me was Veronica. She feels like she got, kind of really hard done by. The buff still used to be guaranteed buff steal and guaranteed spread. Now at max skill, what is it? With an 80% chance to steal buffs. Now, I have been talking to theory crafters who are saying that 80% is not like Summoners War Epic 7 Raid Shadow Legends, where that's the activation chance and then it goes to accuracy resistance. Apparently, accuracy and resistance are blended in with the activation chance, so you can actually increase this, which makes this not as bad of a nerf. But I don't want to confirm anything. This is just people trying, and I'm trying to get the game to actually release these formulas so we know for 100% certain. Have you heard anything about that?
Oh, I saw it very briefly recently, and I got stripped by Viper the other day in the tournament, and he landed every strip on like a multiple buff situation I have with Linglo. I'm like, 75% chance to strip would never work in Summoners War.
Yeah.
And nobody would ever use that. But he stripped every buff because he probably built with 1 or 2 slot max accuracy. So that might be true, actually. That might be true.
Yeah, so once again, I'm waiting to see, because like even me, like when I was going into Doku runs, bringing my Kraken, and I was streaming, I'm like, ain't no fucking way my Kraken is landing every single freeze on a 60% chance. That just doesn't happen. So I do think there is validity to it. Once again, I'm trying, like ever since the dupes in RTA, I'm paranoid about everything, whether it be dupities carry over, whether it be the accuracy resistance. Like, I don't know. I love that. Like, boys, you need to give us everything. Like, I need to know for sure, like how's the damage formula calculated? But yeah, I mean, she did get the nerf in this, in the ability to actually steal and the ability to spread. I don't think she was too broken the way she was. If it was an AoE steal, yes, it is single target steal. The spread is very powerful. And the other thing to do with her spread is like you can just buff her with invincibility and then she spreads it to her teammates. Like I can definitely see some strategy where you go buff her with invincibility, use a buff extender, then spread it with her, and then you've spread a bit. Like I feel like there's cheese ways you can do it, but that's hard to set up for. So I don't know. She was really good in tournaments. I feel like maybe she got a little bit too heavily nerfed. But besides that, I think one of the main ones we've been seeing is Marvel. I've been seeing a lot of people talk about him. I honestly think he's perfectly fine, and I really hope he doesn't get a nerf because people have been talking about him in PvP. I know you're fairly similar, I think, on this, so I'll let you have a chat about it and your thoughts around Marvel in PvP, because we did touch on it a little bit before recording.
All right, if there is a nerf for this guy, it just reduces his base speed to like 110. And he's perfectly fine. He's not broken in PvP. And he's still amazing in PvE because you need this guy in PvE. I don't think there's any crazy unit like this that can push back a turn meter speed and reduce the rest on the enemy unit, which is amazing because you can actually bypass elemental disadvantage with rest reduction as well, because they reduce your rest if you have like the opposite element. But anyway, he is very good support character. He does like 0 damage, and the other 2 skill are not like super crazy good.
I do like his basic.
Bosses with a skill
25% steal is still pretty solid. Yeah.
Yeah, they can also change the steal to like just reduction, not a steal, right? So, and I think he'll be perfectly fine. Like right now, I think he's not even like too crazy. It is really good in the early game because nobody has immunity set. But the moment you play the game for like 2 months and everybody has immunity set, then his presence in turn 1 is not going to be that strong. You have to pair him with another buff AoE strip like Mia, the fire support character that they released recently, to pair with him so that you have 2 layers of control, but then you have 2 units that doesn't do damage. So that's another problem. So I think he's really good in the early game, and it shocked a lot of people because I feel like a lot of people come into the game, might not be like ex-Summoners War player or E7 or Raid Shadow Legends. They're not too familiar with getting absolutely shit on by the control playstyle. But when you figure it out, it's not that crazy.
Yeah, and the reason I don't really want him to get nerfed is because I do think his PvP for performance will drop over time, but I really like his PvE utility. AoE reduction, speed slow, and the big one that you don't think about is that resistance down. Like that is just so usable in PvE. So I really don't want him to get nerfed because of people's impression of him in PvP, when I don't think he will be as impactful a month into the game, and risk him being worse in PvE because he's a really good aid to your PvE progression as a free-to-play type unit. So that's kind of my thoughts, because I've seen a lot of people complaining about him, thinking, he's busted and stuff like that. I think he's all right. I think one of the big problems in the game, and one of the big issues with him in PvP, is that, and this is where we can talk about maybe a potential buff somewhere in the game, or maybe they're saving it for a future character, is that every cleanse, I don't think there is a cleanse in the game that is just like a blanket cleanse every debuff.
Yeah, that is not a problem. When you look for a unit that does that, I think only Linglo does AoE cleanse, like immediately.
Yeah, no, but I don't think anyone is like cleanse all debuffs. Everyone's like, Linglo's like a 50% chance to cleanse each time she heals. Sanya is the end of turn when she heals, it's cleanse 2 debuffs, I believe it is. But I don't think anyone it's like like cleanse all debuffs. So the problem in PvP with this, with him specifically, is he puts 2 debuffs on along with the gauge reduction. And the problem with that is as you stack more debuffs, like these become bait debuffs to get cleansed as opposed to the control debuffs or whatever. So the multiple debuff things with not so many proper cleansers is what I think is a little bit of a balance issue at the moment, which is one of the other reasons he became so powerful, because you can go, oh, it's all right, I'll cleanse, but you only get to cleanse 2, like, 1 or 2, or, you got Alicorn and you're like, I got frozen, it's okay, I'll cleanse it, but then you cleanse the speed reduction and resistance down, not the freeze that the Kraken popped or something like that. So once again, I think that is one of the big problems, is the amount of debuffs without proper cleansers. But yeah, I think he's pretty cool the way he is. Anyone else that you've seen people talk about that you think needs a buff or a nerf, or anyone you want to touch on the topic?
I think all the light dark characters are really good right now. Do you think they are too good? And also, even after a while, I think there's still a lack of a proper buff strip in the game. And Hendrik is pretty much like the best in that slot. A lot of auto unit are like 1 buff strip. But in this game, they're like 20 billion unique buff. So Hendrik just being too good. And that makes the game looks pay to win, because like the reliable buff strip guy is a dark guy, a dark SSR. So that could be a problem.
And it's honestly, it's not 100% reliable either. It's...
Yeah, and it's still so good at that. And maybe the accuracy baked in, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's like, I think he's like the PvE cheat code. I think he's great in PvP as well, but I think PvE is his main place where he's like the cheat code, because there's a lot of those like progression, like when we look at whether it's module farming, you got Terra and you've got Aurora, who both need to be stripped. You've got a lot of those progression areas where, some of those unique bosses need to be heal blocked or buff blocked. And, he provides everything that you need. I honestly don't mind Heinrich. I think he's great in PvP, but I don't think he's completely broken. But I do think he is just like an absolute cheat code for PvE, is the kind of the where he's at. So I'm not too fussed with him the way he is. And I think Lily is perfectly balanced, because I just don't want them to nerf her, because I love Lily and I want her to be the way she is. So we're not even going to talk about a potential no, being serious. How do you feel about Lily?
I think Lily is really, really strong. She has a strong turn 1 unit that the skill 3 is almost as good as Marvel's skill 3. And the skill 2 is just absolutely insane. And the full reduction for a full cooldown reduction is also really busted, because I think she unlocked a lot of like insta-kill boss in PvE as well. Yeah. So if you have her, like suddenly your run went from like a minute 30 to like 40 seconds.
Yeah, I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for this test account to get boosted so I can test this. But from my testing, I didn't have Lily maxed on the beta. But when I was using her with my Victor, when she reduced his cooldowns, because I didn't have it to reset, she would actually reduce the cooldown on his shell as well. Now, I need to test this with a maxed out account, but if she can reset the Codex, which is the dragon one, which gives you no cooldown on your abilities, this one here. So if she can do this, what you end up doing is use Lily's skill 2 on your DPS. Your DPS uses their ult, or their skill 3. That's one skill 3. Next turn, Lily just uses a basic. Because the DPS had this on it, it means their skill 3 is available again. So they skill 3 again. That's 2 skill 3s. Then after that, you use Lily's skill 3, which would reset the cooldown of the skill and the shell. Once again, I need to test that it resets this shell. I know it worked on White Fang, so I need to test this. But if it does, that means the next turn, their skill is off cooldown, they use their skill 3 again. That's 3 skill 3s in a row. Then after that, the Codex will reset that cooldown.
The bot is gone, bro. The boss is gone.
I'm just like, but then after that, you just use a Lily basic attack, and then they rock in and they use their skill 3 again. That would be 4 uses of skill 3 in a row with skill cooldown reset if it works on Codex. Because some skills, kind of like Lily's skill, if we go over here into her skill 3, you can see this skill cannot have its cooldown reduced. So that is stated there. I'm in a big mode with this game where unless it's stated, I don't think it exists. So there is nothing here that says this skill cannot be reset or cooldown reduced. So Like, I don't know. I've just got to wait and see how that works.
So I saw in my guild they were talking about this, and someone I think tested this, and they were talking about how certain skill reset cooldown will only reset the codex skill cooldown by 1 turn. I'm not sure though. You can test that later.
Okay, yeah, I got to test that. Okay,
I heard that.
Okay, so yeah, because I said, Lily, I know was reducing it by 1 turn on my White Fang when he was equipped to my my Victor. So there's a lot of that stuff that you've got to test, and a lot of that stuff where if they do have interactions like that, like let's say it's capped, like the fact that it actually reduces them is crazy. If it's capped at 1, like we need to know that information. So once again, we'll do some testing and find out. But yeah, I like Lily where she is. Do you think she needs a nerf, or do you think she's cool?
I mean, if I say like, oh, all the rarer units should be like a little bit stronger, then all the free-to-play player will be like extra pissed. But like, I feel all the rarer characters should be like a little bit stronger, because that's the whole point of pulling the rare character. Then if it's not stronger, then what's the point? But the whole combo that you just said sounds very broken, and you would think that, oh, you don't have Lily, then it's over. But you can actually use Beyantin, the fire girl with the umbrella. I think Beyantin. Oh yeah, so she can do similar job to Lily, but a bit less crazy, because I think her cooldown reduction is only single target, so you can buff attack and crit damage with a skill 3. So, oh really? I thought it's AoE, because everyone have Twin Trick has cooldown reduced, right, or something like that.
Yeah, but she can only put Twin Trick on one ally.
But yeah, she's very similar in a way, because she can buff attack and crit damage, which is really good. Like, even better than Lily, because you have crit damage buff, and then the skill 2 can give that damage dealers a instant turn with cooldown reduce, so you can do the ult again.
Yep, yeah, definitely. So there is a lot of that sort of stuff. How do you feel about Shadow Sonya? Now, I know a lot of people like are of the opinion that, you know, she's the worst like dark unit. I think the problem is she just needs a full team invested around her for the dot play style. So I do think she could be usable, but from what we're seeing on the test server, like you can do like there's plenty of speed teams for clearing all the bosses once you get good gear, which just absolutely clap. I think she could be useful if you pull her early game as just a random pull and then you build the poison team. I feel like she can do really well, but she's the one for me that just doesn't feel as broken as the others.
Yeah, I think she's like the more balanced one right now, because she need the team to work. Like, she's not the gear dependent unit, but she's the team dependent unit. But one funny thing that I saw about her in the test server is that you can actually have a shell that give your unit a single attack follow-up when after you finish using your skill with a skill 1. So if you proc that, it's like proccing a Violent Prod, Summoners, or because you skill 1 again immediately, and her skill 1 put like 3 more dots on the boss or something like that. So more dots, more damage for her, and it'd be kind of cool. But then she's very team dependent, and she works really well with cooldown reduction unit like Doki or Lily to have your dot unit to move again to lay enough dots on the enemy unit, because the dot in this game is only 4%. And I thought dot should be like about 5% general, so you need like 25 instant of dot to like kill the boss or something like that. But in Summoners you need like 20, so it kind of make dot a bit less strong in a way as well. Yeah. So maybe the team dependent will be fixed if we have more unit available that can support her, like Kafka and Honkai Star Rail, right?
Don't talk to the dot players in Star Rail. Dot got left behind.
Wait, what happened? What was wrong?
They got Black Swan and then nothing happened with it after that. Actually, what I want to talk about is Freya. How do you feel about Freya?
Ooh, Freya. A lot of people are saying Freya is kind of a bait. And Freya is like another Tiamat situation, I feel. It's like do a lot of things, but not really super good at everything. Like her AoE boost is like super small. So if your team is not fast, you actually don't boost enough, and then Marvel can still cut in between and slow you down. And her cleanse ability happens only when she uses skill 2. So without that, you still get debuffed very, very easily. And I don't think her skill 1 does a lot of things, right?
Yeah, so my main problem with her, like I agree with all the things she said. She is a fast base speed action advancer, which, you know, that's always important in these games, but the advance isn't massive, and that's like a problem. And if you want it to be like decent, you need to skill her up, which I don't think that's the wisest investment of skill ups. I found in the beta, I pulled her and I used her a little bit at the start, and then I just never really used her again except for RTA because she was semi-built. I think the problem is this Dreamweave is dog shit, in my opinion. I think it's the biggest piece of shit buff you could put on it. Like, if that was a 2-turn immunity, like this would be a huge ability. But the Dreamweave, it doesn't block turn gauge manipulation. And there's a lot of multi-hit abilities that have a chance to apply a debuff each hit. So she'll block the first hit of it, and then the next one gets through. And it's like you haven't even blocked a debuff. And that's just from one character's single attack. Like, even a one-turn immunity would be better than the Dreamweave, I think. Like, I just... This Dreamweave really annoys me. It really does annoy me. And I feel like if that was a bit better, she'd probably be a much stronger unit. But I feel like as first raid up unit, when I first saw her, I was like, oh, she's kind of busted. Like, you know, a bunch of turn gauge manipulation, both positive for you, negative for your enemies. But I feel like she needs too much investment to make that gauge manipulation valuable enough. Like, yes, there will be situations in which she works really well if you've got a second really fast unit that can then put buffs on. You know, sometimes in Arena, I would use my Lily to buff my Tiamat, which puts speed buff on everyone, so everyone got a little boost. Then I'd use Tiamat's shield, which puts the shield and the heal over time, which boosts everyone up. Then I would use Freya's skill 2, which boosts everyone up again. So like I could get ahead of everyone, but it still didn't feel like the greatest thing ever. So honestly, I feel like Freya, hot take, could use a little bit of a buff. Is that a bad take?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe not. Maybe give her a bit of like healing overtime or something. I feel like she's like an over glorified number 41.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the big thing, like when you look to gauge boosters, the big thing that they obviously have over those types of units is the speed.
Faster, right?
It's speed, because it's all in the prowess. So if you're the rares get a 9 speed. Whatever you want to call these guys. The purples get a 12 speed, and then the SSRs get the, what do they get? They get the 15 speed. So, you know, when you're looking at gauge boosters, I feel like speed becomes like a very key point of it. Like every point of speed ends up counting at the end of the day if you're trying to go first. But I think that's kind of where it sits. Now, is there anyone else that you think has been underperforming anything like that, or any sleeper units that you think people are sleeping on?
I feel like Chloros is kind of a sleeper unit. Like, so far, I found his most popular use is like Union Boss, because he's a strong single target damage dealer and he does a lot of damage. But then you ignore his entire identity as being the Reaper, you know, the anti-revive, because like Union Boss. So maybe do something about him in a way, because maybe when the revive meta showed up, then we're gonna see a bit more of him. But like he's a glass cannon DPS type thing, and when you go into a bruiser fight with that, you get absolutely shit on. So that is also like another problem, because before he can kill anyone, he's dead. So that's a problem. So maybe he can use a small buff.
I feel like he'd be an interesting one where they could have like thematically with him played around with what's the buff provided by this bloke, the void. Like maybe he could have void state baked into his kit. You know, where like he's untargetable because he's like that Reaper coming out of the shadows. Like, I feel like maybe that could have been baked into his kit in some way. Honestly, he is the character that I've probably played around with the least. I have seen him on the test server doing some decent results in some of the PvE modes, but that's kind of about it. Like, if I pull a character, just about anyone on this roster, I'll be like, oh, nice pull. But I feel like he's the one where I'm kind of like, do I build him? Like, is he going to help me yet?
You get a free fire, a red DPS. So that's another problem, that he's being overshadowed, because you can only invest in like 1 or 2 SSR, and you get a free one that you have to invest in due to the quest. So you don't want another fire DPS. You want a more variety, like a water one, like Rosa or Ciara. So you kind of just ignore him unless you have the resources with your wallet. Then you can probably build him.
Yeah, and like then you've got like Hellkid is the other one, but Hellkid's more of a support than a damage dealer. And then obviously we got the rest that are supports as well from the red. So it's like that Lian being a nice easy pick kind of makes him feel overshadowed in a sense. Anyone else on this roster? Now, I'm definitely paying close attention to what testing is going on with Rosa. She's looking like dealing absolute truckloads of damage, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Besides that, I feel like I feel like everyone else is kind of in an okay spot. If I'm going to be honest, I feel like in the early game, Doki Doki, I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, Doki Doki feels bad. I think she's going to get better over time, especially in RTA and stuff like that. I just feel like we're in the cleave meta where, Lily can boost a character up straight away with that 30% boost, and then everyone else is playing speed. Got Messiah, who's the absolute king of just shred someone. Listen, I'm going to say what the PvP meta at the start of the game could be is full dupe, max dupe Messiah, because they're in effect, plus Tsukiyomi equals you dead. Like, you just get an instant turn with him, and he's full built for attack crit damage. I feel like he's just going to delete teams.
That kind of happens sometimes with me as well. He's pretty good at doing that. And Tsukiyomi is like a underrated character because Freya is like Guna bait and wear less clothes than Tsukiyomi. But Tsukiyomi has like the better utility that nobody really give a shit about because Freya's in the banner, right?
Is literally like a different version of Lily, in my opinion. You got cooldown reductions.
Kinda, yeah.
You've got boosting
like
for a character. She's just got a lot in her kit. She's gonna. You think about Lily. Lily's passive with Twin Trick is after she moves, she boosts the ally with Twin Trick. Hers is she just boosts the ally with the highest attack. Now, don't forget, like you get her on a Bramble set or something like that, and when she revenges, she's going to boost that ally again. So that makes it even more of a threat. Like you got a DPS on Bramble plus her on Bramble, and it's like, oh shit, I do an AoE. I could get hit by this guy and take the damage, and she could boost him, and like that's pretty threatening. So I do think Tsukiyomi is, I don't know if people underrate her. I just didn't see her used too much, probably because, it's harder to pull her. We didn't get around to building a heap of units, but I think she's going to be an absolute monster of a unit. You got team-wide cooldown reduction. Once again, we're talking about the fact that cooldown reduction has effects on shells. That's pretty big when you weigh everything in on that one. So I think she's going to be another fantastic unit. But in general...
One interesting about that unit I noticed is that when you use the unit that boosts attack bar, turn meter like this girl, then she always boosts the one with the highest attack, which is something that is consistent with her. But I would rather her boost something that has the lowest turn meter, so you can actually influence her AI and who she chooses to boost. Because a lot of time when you play PvP, you notice that people use her to boost like Marvel, who just moved, to give Marvel almost a full turn, which is absolutely massive. But if you put on auto, she boosts like the one that's about to move, like Messiah. And Messiah's about to move anyway, so it doesn't really need the boost, but Marvel. So maybe that could change. I don't know. That'd be great.
Yeah, honestly, I think in general they just need skill priority. Because like for me, in Inferno Doki, like the only change I need to make on auto is put it on manual when she's coming out of demon form. Use her shield instead of her taunt, and it's 100% clear rate. If you use her taunt first, it's about a 10% clear rate. It's just, there's a lot of situations
you just die
where characters just do stupid AI. For instance, one character that I think they can completely change her AI priority is Turandot. She's got a really cool 3-turn cooldown, max skilled, attack buff, defense buff. Really nice. But I don't give a shit about that because the one place you really need to use her is to strip buffs off of Terra. Because Terra, you need to strip first turn. Like, that's ideally what you need to do. She's got amazing strip with up to 100%, 120% gauge reduction. Like, that's a pretty sick ability. Just use it first, please, because then you get her skill order to be turn reduction into attack buff and defense buff into, it says dispel, which is stupid because it's an accuracy buff for her. And then if you're cycling through using skill 2, skill 3, skill 1, that means she's got her accuracy buff, which goes up to 2 turns, but you don't need 2 turns if the skill she's going to follow it with is turn 2, and then she gains the benefit for the only ability she needs it for. Her turn order needs to be skill 2, skill 3, skill 1. 100% every day of the week. I don't care what anyone says. But yeah, I think if they could implement a setting for turn order priority for each character, I think it would be absolutely huge, because I think a lot of the problem people are finding for a lot of the, we got Kaz here with this Dispel as well, is none of the Dispellers are really using their Dispel first. I think the only one that reliably does it, obviously we've got Heinrich, but then we've also got Viper as well. So Viper is another one. Now, I need to know, because there's a lot of these ones. I was reading Viper's description, and it says she.
That's not a she for me, bro.
No, I'm like, but I don't know. And there's a lot of characters. I think there's a translation error in a lot of characters. And I'm like, dude, I've been calling Viper a dude the whole time. And I'm like, those legs, I mean, maybe they're not like chunky legs. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm kind of.
No. The design doesn't, is not consistent with the other she in the game. The other she are very obviously she.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not too sure, but there's like a few of them where some of the I think it's her. I think she's called a he.
They call her he, right?
Nah. So I think there's a few little like skill descriptions / translation errors that need to fix. So hopefully they get done by global. But yeah. Anyway, Gray, what's your thoughts on Gray out of curiosity?
Dude, Gray is actually really, really nice. One of the best PV unit for like Terramaton, for Doki Doki, if you want to use him as well, which is amazing. Death Break, prepare for Remoka, for example. And Query is also really, really good. One small thing that I feel that kind of terrible is when I do a test server and I put the best shell, which is the reduce all cooldown for him. It's kind of funny because he could buff and then defense break all the time. So if you use the shell to reduce all cooldown, he would buff and then he buff again like an idiot, and then he do the death break.
That's hilarious. Yeah, no, he don't want that shell. He don't want that shell for sure. But I really love like anything with an extra turn. I just love because effectively you're now, instead of a 3-turn cooldown on these two abilities, you're on a 2-turn cooldown, meaning you just do these and then one other. And there's like a lot of cool strats. Like we mentioned Beonton, but if you boost him with Beonton, he's doing that exact same combo straight away.
Yeah, which is really good because in Doki Doki, you kind of need to have another combo for round 2.
Yeah,
which is a harder round.
Same with Tsukiyomi. You know, you boost him. He does. Oh no, she doesn't do the cooldown reduction. But we do have Old Mate that we start with, which I know this because one of the boys in the previous beta before the last one was using this guy with Chiaki with Gray, and then he would put in like Tiamat and Lily which were the go-to bands. And so he would always get through with those three, and he just boost with his Chiaki, then use Gray, and then boost with this guy who also gives attack buff and reduces the cooldown by 1 turn. And so his Gray has moved, put the death break on, then gets boosted with attack buff for the nuke turn and just shreds. It was insane. So like you have some really cool plays in like the rare characters as well. We saw number 41, getting some use. Turn meter plus attack up plus a single target heal and a wound, which is like usable in a lot of places. Like there's a couple of these rare units as well that can definitely see some use outside of that. But yeah, the topic was meant to be buffs and nerfs and stuff like that. We've kind of just rambled about everything. Is there anything else you want to mention? Any other characters you want to touch on?
Can we look at SR? I think that's more relevant because most people don't have SSR anyway. I remember something about... Which one was it?
Dinah looking absolutely amazing for like speed
Dinah
comps.
is like so fucking good for all PvE though. Like she need to know. Just kidding.
No, anything that's OP in PvE, we don't want to mention for nerfs because like we want shit to be OP in PvE because it makes everyone's life a bit easier. I think Fangus is really good as well. I think definitely he can see
underrated.
Yeah, Kraken, my man. I love Kraken, dude. He's just got a cool vibe about him. I don't know. I just reckon he's a wicked dude.
I feel like Loki, Obo need a buff. Is that weird to say? Loki, Obo need a buff. I feel like the dot can be like 2 turn, and the dispel can be like a bit more. Like,
I think he's actually.
But
okay.
then he'll be too good though. Yeah, like he's really good, but like I feel like he's almost like there's like the very good SR that everybody can use and be really good at doing so. And also buff him equal buff Shadow Sania. Yeah, indirectly.
Yeah, and he's another one of those ones that is dispel but uses skill 3 first. Like every budget dispeller just wants to use their other skill first, which is just an absolute killer. I would love to see Yang get a buff. I just don't think anyone really uses him. If this granted an extra turn, huge. But I guess it's just a straight upgrade to what Gray does. So I don't know. I just really like this guy. I like anyone with a pet, and he's got a pet, and it's really cool. And
I think Gray is the AoE Death Break is just way too good. I think even if this guy get an extra turn, he wouldn't be like
he wouldn't be that
upgrade.
busted. But like, I mean, dude, he's got the dog with him, and his werewolf thing
Yeah,
looks
it's so cool, right?
absolutely insane. Like, I love this guy's design, but I'm like, I just want him to be a bit better. But yeah, besides that, I don't know. I think it's pretty decent. You've definitely got some characters that aren't as strong, but in general, I think it's a pretty good mix of enough good characters. Oh, Ditting as well, dude, hits like a bloody truck. Like everyone always talks about where is it? Where's my
Victor,
man, dude?
right?
Can I just say, scrolling through this thing, it sketches so bad. But yeah, Victor, absolute monster. But I do think Ditting, or whatever, however the hell we say this, I think he's another great unit. And plus, his animations are just sick. So just a cool dude as well. Definitely those.
I feel like a lot of our unit are kind of underrated right now because we don't really have a need for them in like a team of 4 or 5. But the moment United Front come out, and I hope it will come out in a way that, oh, you use 3 unit, you don't get to use them anymore. So you are forced to build like, I don't know, 10 unit. So you have to build these dudes.
Yeah.
And Kachi and No 41 is going to start like, oh, wow, they're really good now.
Honestly, Kachi stocks, if accuracy resistance ends up working the way that we're thinking it's going to work, dude, stocks go right up because
Immediately.
Because damage to all enemies, decreasing turn meter by 35%. There's not even like it doesn't have a chance there. It just says decreasing. Now, there's something else I got to find out. If it just says it does it, does that go into the accuracy resistance formula, or is it just meant to be a 100% base, like hidden, base chance? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no like irresistible skill in the game yet, right? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I've heard people saying that Rose's like unique debuff seems to just always land even without accuracy. Like even on like Doki enemies, which have like the bonus 160 resistance. So I'm not too sure. I haven't tested myself, but there's also a 35% chance to inflict stun. Now, if we can just stack this dude with a shitload of accuracy and we get that to always landing on enemies with low resistance, now he's got like a really insane boost combo with an AoE stun. I mean, pretty solid. And turn meter decrease.
See him and like Messiah and like, oh, boost Messiah, boom, you win the game, pretty much.
Yeah.
If that happens. Because he's kind of slow though, that's the problem.
Well, I mean, you make him really fast along with like a really fast Tsukiyomi. So you boost Messiah with Tsukiyomi, use skill 3, Messiah be on the dragon, which resets his cooldown, and then you go straight to him, and then you boost and he gets to do it again. Because is it a 3-turn cooldown or a 4-turn cooldown maxed out? It's a 3-turn cooldown. So I don't know.
Oh God.
No, you wouldn't get to do it. It's not enough cooldown reduction. Gray's unique because of his extra turn. So yeah, I don't know. I just think there's some stuff you can do with those rare units as well that can be, a little bit of fun and mess around. Oh no, because I said you use the dragon. So yeah, he'd just have it anyway. It doesn't even matter. Yeah, dude, there's too much shit. But yeah, anything else you want to touch on? Any other characters?
I feel like we are now undervalued a lot of like SR single target, like Tsutomu and Oboro are like not really being used because they are like single target damage dealer, which will probably get more relevant into bosses later on. And you realize that, oh, I can't build the SSR anyway. So you have to start building these RGB single target damage dealer for the specific boss that you are fighting in. Yeah,
there was some of those Echo bosses where I literally put a set of gear on him so that he could crit. If a crit lands, has a 100% chance to put wound and block. As I mentioned earlier with what's his face? Dude, what's the dude with the guns? Henrik. Yeah. The wound and block are 2 very important debuffs. So I just found myself putting a 100% crit rate on him. Nothing else. I had Sanya in the team so I could revive him. And I would just put some of those Echo bosses on auto and just wait for him to eventually land the block and the wound to stop them healing. And then just like, I left some of those runs on for like 45 minutes to eventually kill them. Just by slapping this guy in there. Like, that's how I got through some of those Echo bosses because I'm like, I'm not going to fully invest into the guy. I just need him to do a job. And if I can do it AFK, that's good enough for me. So yeah, definitely some of those will have their unique sort of position. My problem with this is like, yeah, you got decreased defense, but when we look at this as single target utility, unless their damage is absolutely insane, which we've already got the 2 damage dealers, which is Victor and Ditting, that I feel like are going to be the main damage dealers. Dyna's just too much apart. Like, even if this was single target, it's better than any of the single target support you get from any of the others.
Yeah, Dyna is like one of the key PvE unit that you have to get, I feel,
especially if you're trying to speed clear stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's insane with this. So I feel like her AoE support would be good if it was a single target support, but leave it at AoE. Like I said, anything PvE, I'm happy to be OP because we can take it. But yeah, even things like Rin, you know, you've got the AoE taunt with attack down, you got a defense up with the shield. Like, she's got great utility in her kit as well. The only problem is both 4-turn cooldowns. I do like myself a good 3-turn cooldown, but yeah, there's plenty of good units out there. And I think we've been recording for about an hour. So is there anything else you want to go through, or are you done? Are you sick of me yet? Because I can yap about this shit for days.
Hey, it's on you, bro. It's on you.
All right.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Nah, I think I've yapped long enough. I could talk about every character for 20 more minutes, but I think we're pretty good. We've had a yap about plenty of things, but once again, guys, definitely go subscribe to Sean B's new channel, not his Summoners War channel, his Etheria channel. Get around the guy. Great content as always, mate. And any closing words from you?
Can't wait to play June 5th.
Get around it.
The link down below.
Awesome. Anyway, guys, as always, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.